I first and foremost, I think I would like to say that I'm a first generation immigrant, so I was born in Peru, came here when I was 2 years old, and I've lived in Miami my entire life, right? For a long time, it was really difficult for my parents. I love my parents with all my heart. We're so close. They are like my best friends. I love them with all my heart, but it was always really difficult for them to understand the music thing ever since I was a kid. I wanted to play the guitar as long as I could remember. There's like videos of me pretending to play when I was like a toddler, so started playing when I was 12, and as I got older, when I was in high school, I started playing shows alone, like around the city. I had a band in high school, but nothing serious. It was hard because my parents didn't really want me to like take it seriously. They were like, focus on the studies. It's the first gen thing. They just want to make. It's not because they weren't trying to support me. It's because they just wanted to make sure that I was safe and financially stable in the future. And so I would get into fights with them a ton, and especially when I was in college. And I was trying to take it a little bit more seriously. I produced like a little solo EP that's really bad, so I'm not even going to mention that. But, so we would fight all the time. But, they would always say, once you graduate college and you have a job, what are we going to tell you? We can't tell you anything. So I feel like I wasn't, like I was always writing music and I was always going for this, but I didn't really try to take it seriously until 2019 when I graduated college. And then I was like, all right, like there's nothing else you can say now. Like, you got to go out there and do this. So I had just come back from an internship in Chicago, and I was like, all right, like no more procrastinating. Put up flyers all over the city in FIU, UM, in strategic locations, Wynwood. And I met Danny first, our lap steel player, keys player. He's like a virtuoso. He didn't start off playing the lap steel, that was something that we asked him to try, and he's like an incredible musician, so he picked it up, and it's a really big part of the band. But I met Danny first because he saw a flyer that I put up in FIU in the School of Music. And
yo, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Your band formed because you were just like, hey, who wants to play with me?
Yeah, I mean, I was like, it was very grassroots. It was very like, and it felt impossible. And that's one of the things that it makes me kind of emotional sometimes, because like I think about, we just went on our first tour. I'm going on a little bit of a tangent. Thank you. We went on our first tour, and I had gotten off the stage, and there was like a few kids that came up to me and they were like, hey, it's so cool seeing another brown person in like the indie scene, and like on stage. And I talked to them for a while, and I just remember, being younger and feeling like it was impossible to start a band and not seeing brown people like me either in the indie rock scene or in the indie folk scene. But back to this. Found Danny. Then I found Sofia at Space Mountain at a show on Halloween. She was drunk and dressed as Phoebe Bridgers, and we bonded. Yeah, we bonded. And then so I brought her in after like the first iteration of Stillblue fell apart because people weren't serious. It's hard to find people that are really trying to be serious about this.
Right.
And so then for a while it was just me, Sofia, and Danny. We were auditioning people to come into Stillblue for bass and for drums literally the week that the pandemic started. So we had met Yamil, our bass player. I had met him a while ago when I was playing solo shows. He was a good friend, and he auditioned. But then the pandemic happened literally the week that we were doing interviews. And then we went into pandemic mode, and we were like, oh, this will be over in like a month, and then it wasn't. So then we were, Sofia, Danny, and I were sending stems back and forth, and that's where Flora started, our EP Flora. And then when things started getting better, we did another round of auditions, and we met, Yamil came back in, and we were, more than happy to bring him in. It was a no-brainer. We knew we wanted him. And then, we had another drummer who was great, and he's really, really nice. And he just messaged me about Paint Me Funny. But it just didn't work out. He was a little bit younger, so he was like doing high school stuff, and I was like, dude, you got to go do high school stuff. Like, enjoy this time.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
definitely.
So then we brought in Diego, who was in a band with Sofia previously, and he is mainly a guitar player, but his first instrument was drums. So we met up with him. He auditioned, and he was the last missing piece of the band. And one of the biggest things for me when I was looking for band members is that I was looking for people that were serious, but people that I could be friends with, that could like cultivate a really beautiful relationship with. And I'm really lucky, little by little, that I found that. And they're my best friends, some of the only people I talk to. So I'm like really, really happy. It took forever and it felt impossible. But if you are a person trying to do it, it feels impossible, and it will happen little by little, and I really encourage you to do it.